Hi, I'm Cameron, and this is my SMART Goal worksheet. So for my core opportunity serving mainstream students, I chose um, differentiation, increased learning time, and class/group size as my problems and goals. So differentiation, I I feel like I really need to work more on this. In foreign language, it has been challenging. We get a lot of students who are very below basic with even English skills, so it's a little difficult working with a second language then. Um, so I'd like to work on my differentiation, and I think that this is something I could use a customized classroom to do that. Number two, I have increased learning time, and I think this kind of works along with differentiation. Really, all three of them do, but I would like to increase the amount of time I spend with certain students, or the amount of time that students get to spend working on something that they are still learning. Some students move on quickly and understand it, can pass the test, do very well, and then others need more time, and that's something I'd like to work on more. The third one, group size. This is the one that I actually ended up choosing to write about below, because I feel like if I can get the group size smaller, I'll have more time to work with students, and then I can kind of individualize their learning, therefore also differentiate. Um, so it would be quite a process, but I think this one has possibly the most benefit at this point. So that's the one that I chose. Moving on to my non-consumption opportunities. These were a little more difficult for me. I wanted to make them relevant to foreign language, because that's something that obviously is important to me. One thing that I thought of was AP World Language courses. So our district recently asked us if we'd be willing to teach them. Um, and a few things came to mind. So I would like to implement AP World Language courses, but there are some problems that arise with that, which are that number one, my schedule is pretty full. I'm the only German teacher at my school, and I teach levels 1 through 4. And I also have some duties. Um, and then, in addition to that, um, teaching the AP World Language course is something that might require the students' time a little more than other things. So it's an elective course, but the students are going to need some time in their schedule to work with this, and it almost seemed more like an independent study. Um, so I was thinking it would have to be something digital, something that they could do almost like cyber school for certain classes. And I remember reading about that in the text, and I thought that that would be a great idea and a good solution. I already mentioned full schedule a little bit, so my schedule being full, teaching online classes would be a way to open up my schedule to teach other classes, which might allow me to not only do AP classes, but it might be an opportunity to add cultural based classes to our curriculum. And then absenteeism is also an issue in our school, probably others as well, but we have a lot of students who are absent pretty frequently, and that might help out getting them where they need to be when they're absent. All right, so first of all, I have one core opportunity, and I ended up making two columns for non-consumption because my middle one, this one here, um, it's not something that I necessarily have complete control over, and it would require some district approval. So I added a second one as well because I was interested in both of those. So first of all, my group size is the one I chose for my core opportunity. Um, so specific, I have decreased group size for instruction and assistance. Um, that way it allows me to work with my students one-on-one or in small groups, um, and really just help them to learn better, stay with the information, and individualize their learning. Measurable, I have that I would use the number of students in the group, so hopefully 5 or fewer, for at least 10 minutes each period, twice weekly. So I would use that number as my measure. Um, and then assignable, I have that I would be responsible for this, and I would achieve it through using rotation methods, things like that. For realistic, I have yes, of course. Using stations can help to decrease the group sizes for the individual teacher. Um, and I think that's something that's definitely achievable. It's realistic. It's something that anyone can really do. It's a matter of organizing the classroom to work for you there. And then time related, I have that this could be achieved by the end of this school year, so the 2018-2019 school year. Um, for my middle non-consumption opportunity, like I said, this one's all pending district approval, but you can see that I have curriculum outlines, lesson plans, screencast lessons, and I said end of 2019-2020 school year. I'm not going to talk too much about that one. But lastly, I have the absenteeism as my non-consumption opportunity. And for specific, I said providing instruction and resources for students who are absent frequently. Measurable, this would be measured by the materials that are uploaded and seeing how many students view a video, etc., acquire information independently. I, again, would be responsible for that, the teacher, for creating materials and posting them, and then the students would be responsible for learning them. So, again, relying a little bit on the students there, but they are also responsible in this case. Realistic, I said yes, it is realistic. I could use Google Classroom to upload assignments and resources, which I currently do, but in a more complete way, and could use Screencast-O-Matic to do lessons and so on. This one I said that it would be achieved as needed, so on a case-to-case basis, but ultimately it would be nice to have a lot of materials or all of the materials that I might need for a year by the end of 2019-2020. One thing while I was working on this, just to add, that I thought was interesting, I was again thinking back to my last course that I took, EdFin 530, and I remember learning about goals and getting students to self-assess, and one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting was that the action plan was set out in the text, and the first thing was, what steps will I take? This is what students are asking themselves. So that, I think, is where specific comes into play. When will I do this? That's time related. Where will I work? This might, again, come into specific or maybe assignable. And possibly even realistic, because they would need to set out how they're going to do it, and if it's not possible to do it anywhere, then it's not going to work. And then who can I work with and what materials will I need? Again, might be assignable as the category that matches up there. And then the last one was, what will I use as my before and after pictures? And I thought that was an interesting question because I think that's the measure. So what do I want to look at for where I'm starting, and then how will I know that I've changed? So what's the before and what's the after? So I just thought that was an interesting concept. And the SMART goals might even work for our students and be able to be set up like that, because goal setting is important in learning. This is my SMART goal worksheet, and hopefully everything I said made sense. And I look forward to the comments and questions.